Welcome to this very special episode of Verified. Now, on Verified, I'd like to introduce you to cool people who make this country what it is and will also make it the country that it should be. And we've had retired police officers, we've had various kinds of people, but this is really the first sports person and the first sort of champion I have on the show. So I'm very excited to introduce to you Sania Mirza. Arjuna Award, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, 6 Grand Slams, and now new mom to 2-month-old Sania Mirza Malik. Well, Sania, first of all, congratulations. And it is such a pleasure. I've always wanted to chat with you, so it's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And you join now this small club of super powerful WTA super women like Serena Williams and Victoria as well, who are moms and champions. So what does that feel like? Have you adjusted to all of this now in the last 2 months?
I'm adjusting. I think it's at the beginning it was all very overwhelming because I think no matter how much advice you get, which you get a lot when you're pregnant and when you have a baby, it's never enough, and you don't actually know what you're gonna feel and experience until you actually have the baby. And in general, I was not a very maternal person before I had the baby, so I was a little concerned for myself. But having said that, I am over the moon. It has been the best feeling that I've ever had. Yes, there's been lack of sleep, but it's been the most selfless kind of love I've ever known.
Well, you know, here's the question, okay, and normally when you're a champion and you're in sports, it's about your physical fitness, right? So it's about how many hours of sleep you're getting, what you're eating, how much you're working out, and how you're going to keep your body in absolute tune shape. How do you sort of reconcile that with the demands of being a new mother?
I think that's the thing, that's the realization that I had. Like I said a little earlier, you know, as athletes, I always say we're a little bit selfish. Our profession demands it. And if we are not selfish, we can't be as good as we are, no matter what sport you play. So I think that you know, it's always about our rest, our food, our recovery, our match, you know, what we want to do, what we want to eat. And all of a sudden, you have this, you know, 3.5 kilo baby and he takes up everything. And the thing is that you don't even have to make an effort to actually do it, because you want more for your baby. I want more for Izhan than I want for anyone else in this world, including myself. And I've had that since I fell pregnant, you know. So that is just a feeling that sort of comes. It's the most natural transition that happens. And I wouldn't want it any other way, of course. But yeah, I think that is the biggest self-realization that I've had in these last, you know, 1 year or so, that, you know, I can be selfless as well.
In fact, there's a photograph you've put up on your Instagram with you and Izhan, and you're cuddling him on the bed, and it looks like the dad is fast asleep next to you. So is he lending a hand with the diapers? Are you, you know, is the baby keeping him up as well?
Yeah, he keeps him up. I mean, Shoaib's been obviously playing, so, you know, whenever he gets time off from whenever he's playing, he comes in, you know, he's with us, and he tries to be there as much as possible. But, you know, that was just a funny, I mean, if anybody knows me, they know I'm really sarcastic, so I've got this very sarcastic humor, which doesn't always go down well. So yeah, I posted that, and I was like, oh, I thought of that, and I wrote that. And I tell you, my husband was not happy with that post, but but it's okay.
Well, you know, the other post I must ask you about, you hit the gym, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after having the baby? And the important question to ask right now is, why?
Yeah. Actually, I think that's the athlete in me, you know. I always said you can, you know, I even posted a picture, or I posted a video, like when I was 7 months pregnant, I was playing tennis. And I played for like, you know, a bit, like I was hitting a few balls like for 20-25 minutes every day. It actually made me feel better. And I always said, like, you can take the tennis out of the tennis player, but you can't take the tennis player out of me. So it was just the way it was. I just... was itching to get on and do something physically, because all my life I've had this regime, I've eaten healthy, I've done everything possible to, you know, have my body in the best shape that it can be. And all of a sudden that had stopped, especially over the last, you know, few months that I was pregnant. So my doctor actually advised me as well that, you know, it was safe. I was doing cardio and very light weights. And I want to just say that I think it depends from body to body and person to person. It worked for me, it may not work for someone else, and that could also be just because I'm an athlete. But it was 3 weeks after. I felt amazing when I went to the gym. I felt so good. I think also, you know, 3 weeks after, there was so many things happening with the baby, and I didn't know how to cope with a lot of things because I was learning as well. I'm still learning, but I was very new at that time. I think I just needed a break. I needed that 1.5 hours to get out of the house and actually go to the gym and do something for myself and for my body, and which had, you know, obviously gone through a lot over the last 9-10 months.
Well, we're also live on Facebook for any of our viewers who want to ask Sania questions, and she's been kind enough to agree to answer them. But here's the thing, there's a lot of, you know, questions now about your date of comeback. And you've talked about the fact that you're very serious about making a complete comeback, and you want to be at the same level of playing as you were before you took your break. So is there pressure coming on to you right now to sort of come up with a date and announce a date of a comeback?
I mean, I'm asked this in every interview that I give, or even if off camera, if I'm talking to someone, that's all everybody asks me. You know, it's almost like we're superhumans just because we're athletes. I mean, I still have given birth to a kid 2.5 months ago. So, you know, at the end of the day, for me, you know, obviously Zhan is my priority and, you know, everything. But I do want to come back. I do want to come back to playing. And that's why I've said realistically, it's at the end of the year. I don't want to put a date to it, only because I don't think I need that pressure. I think that, you know, I have had enough of that all my life, and I just don't want that extra pressure on myself by saying I'll do it on a particular date and God forbid it doesn't happen. Yes. I can't sit and give another round of interviews saying why it didn't happen. So I think it's better that I just say that at the end of the year seems like a realistic thing. Obviously for me, you know, Olympics is something, the medal is something that I'm missing from probably the only thing that I'm missing from my career. That yes. I feel that I should have or could have had the last time that we played. So, you know, 3 years ago, if you asked me if I would be at the Tokyo Olympics, I said no. I said I don't think so. But, you know, if I do make a comeback by the end of the year, it could be a realistic possibility to go back and compete at the Olympics again.
And I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be clutching that medal. You came so close, you know, in the previous Olympics. It's only, you know, I think a natural addition to your wonderful allocates. I have a really funny question for you, and you can choose not to answer this if you want to. But one of my colleagues who's a huge sports fan actually asked that, you know, okay. in South India, we do this thing where we put, you know, various items in front of a child and see if he touches the pen first or if he touches the cricket bat first. Did you put a tennis racket and a cricket bat in front of his aunt to see which one he would touch first?
The funniest part is that I say I don't think I can go through the whole tennis grind again, and my husband says he doesn't think that he can go through the cricket grind, believe it or not. So I don't know that if my baby is going to be playing any sport at all. To be honest, I mean, jokes aside, we you know, all my life, me and my sister have been brought up in a way where we've been able to choose whatever we want to do in our lives, and we both have very different paths that we've taken. She's into fashion and I'm into tennis. So it's exactly the same for our child as well. You know, he can do whatever he wants. He can be a doctor. He can be whatever he wants. Like, he doesn't need to play a sport. But if he does want to play a sport, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be another hard grind then.
But actually, you know, now that you've brought it up, it is so true, and it's so rarely acknowledged. Parents of sports people, and especially, you started at the age of 6, if I'm not mistaken, parents invest their entire, you know, lifetimes in making you a champion, and the entire household runs around the schedule and the needs of that one sports person. So it's a lot of people who don't play sports don't realize perhaps how much the family has to invest.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done nothing without my family. You know, tennis is an extremely individual sport, but that's only what people watch on TV. But there's such a big team effort that goes into it, and by the team, you know, it's family, it's friends, it's coaches and physios and dietitians. I mean, you know, I have like 5 people traveling with me when I play. So it's a whole huge team effort. Your parents go through so much, you know, not just emotionally, but also financially. And, you know, your family is split. In our case, you know, my mom would travel with me and my dad would stay with my sister. I mean, we were living like two separate families. So I don't think people can like understand what goes into it. So while I've seen that over the last, you know, 25 years, for me to say that and to say that I want my son to play tennis, and if I can put the same sacrifice as my parents have put all over again, I'm not sure I can do that. But having said that, you should never say never, so we'll see.
Never say never indeed. Now we have that's your doorbell, I understand, that just went off, and I hope it didn't wake the baby. But we have a couple of questions for you that are coming in on Twitter. And on Facebook. Lalit Bandari has written in and he wants to know, what's your take on Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul's suspension as sports people? Now, we don't know how long the suspension is going to last, to bring you up to speed, because there's an investigation that BCCI will conduct. But let me broaden the question a little bit to general sexism in sports. Now, there seems to be awareness in other sectors right now, but do you think sports still on some level needs to sort of realize when it is being sexist, at least?
I think sexism exists everywhere. You know, it's not just in sport. It exists everywhere, and I've spoken about this time and again. You know, for that particular, particularly about Hardik and Rahul, I haven't actually seen the episode, so I can't actually comment on it. I just saw blimps like everybody else did, and you know, so I just think that sexism exists, and it needs to be called out when it does. It's really as simple as that. I mean, you know, in tennis, I'll tell you that, you know, Andy Murray talks about it all the time. And he's the biggest advocate for, you know, against sexism and for women's tennis. You know, we still have to justify why we get paid the same amount as the men do.
Yes.
That is sexism, right? Like in today's day and age, why do we need to sit and do that? So I just think that sexism exists everywhere. And of course, it needs to be called out if you feel that you've been subjected to it.
Also, I mean, while we're talking about it and we talk about the Me Too campaign, now the Me Too campaign actually sort of blew through Bollywood. It's still doing so. We've had a couple of cases come up in the last couple of weeks. Not too much again from the sports industry. Do you think that from that point of view as well, there needs to be more accountability? There needs to be committees that sportswomen like yourself and maybe younger women who are coming in right now can go to complain to, people they can talk to within the, you know, within the sector if they need to, in order to make them more comfortable?
Yeah. No, of course, most definitely. I mean, I think it's not like, we talk about women empowerment all the time, we talk about equality all the time, but all those are part of sexism, right? I mean, you can't, we don't, you know, I talk about it all the time, and yeah, it would be great if there was someone where there's a young girl and she's been subjected to something, she can go up and talk to an authority or a committee or anything of that sort. You know, but I think that you know, it's very, very important to first acknowledge that it's there. It needs to be called out if it's there, and then you can take steps, you know, ahead of that. You can't, but there's a lot of times when it's just brushed under the table, where it's like a given that you know, it's okay, like it's not a big deal if something has been said or done or not said or not done. So I think it's just about, you know, it is about, yeah, it would be great if there is something, but I think it needs to be acknowledged first, you know, all the time, and people should not be questioned about it when it is acknowledged.
So let me ask you this question. Of course, for women sports people in India, at least, there are coaches, there are selectors, there are bureaucrats that make decisions about their lives and which tournaments that they'll play. Do you know whether the sports ministry or anybody else has set up a committee to address, you know, problems of sexual harassment for women sports people in India?
I do not know. No, I don't know of anything. But you know, I play tennis, which is extremely individual. So I'm not actually, you know, nobody can actually tell me where I should or should not play. So it's a little bit different, I think, for me, you know, especially personally, that's my experience, is that I cannot, nobody can actually tell me that you should or should not play here, or you can or cannot play there. So because I play in individual sports, it's a bit different. I think I'm sure it's a bit different for team sports, where they are, you know, subjected to that kind of command, so to say, and you know, where they can or cannot do something. So, but I have not heard obviously of it.
So maybe that's a campaign that we can take up here in Mirror Now, to ask for a committee for sports women. But I want to talk to you about infrastructure for Indian tennis. We've had a lot of we've had a lot of growth in badminton, and people are showing interest in badminton. But in tennis, after say Mahesh Bhupati and yourself, do you see potential in younger tennis players right now? Who do you see as, you know, the younger stars coming up? And do you think we lack the infrastructure to be able to encourage the youngsters at this point?
We definitely lack in infrastructure, but more than infrastructure, we lack in a system. There is no system in place. If tomorrow I want my daughter or son to start playing tennis, and if I had no idea where to start from, there is nowhere I can go and be like, you know, there is this system where I can go wherever it may be and set up, and there's an association. I say, oh, what do I do from here? The thing is that there is no system. Everybody that's come out, whether it's me, whether it's Mahesh, whether it was Vijay Amritraj or Ramesh Krishnan, no matter, you know, it doesn't matter which generation you go to, they have all been individual efforts through individual parents and families. It has not been because of the system. And that is one of our biggest drawbacks, which is why we don't produce, you know, more tennis players at the international level, and hence we produce players every 25 years. We have one tennis player come out and play at the international level, and it is sad. And I've been asked this question time and again for the last 15 years at least, as to who I think can, and there have names that have come up, but they've just not made that jump, you know. But right now there are players like Ankita Raina and Karman Thandi and Pratna Thombare. These are the girls that need to make that next jump, you know, because right after me, well, like, I'm going to stop when at some point I'm going to stop playing tennis and I'm going to retire. So, you know, I really hope, and I don't want that tennis goes back to where it was 20 years ago, where, you know, people didn't know what tennis was all about. And we've come a long way, and hopefully we'll stay there. But we need champions for that. But for that, we need a system in place, and yeah, which doesn't really exist.
Well, Sarah, in the city that you're in Hyderabad, this is where P. Gopichand put up his, you know, sort of training academy, and so many stars came out of that one, that academy. Is there? I believe you're working on your academy as well. Is it really about, you know, coaching and infrastructure? Do we have enough coaches in India who can coach tennis?
No, I have a tennis academy. The problem is not, you know, it's an academy made on 4 acres with 12 tennis courts, which is probably, you know, for a private academy, that's a lot. But, you know, I can't give my full time to a tennis academy because I'm still actively playing. Yeah, eventually, you know, when I do stop and when I do have the time, I can probably do that. But it's not an individual's job, because when you win for the country, and I don't think it's an individual's job to always sort of set up something and then players come out of it. If it does happen, that's great, but there's a lot that goes into it. You know, it's not just, it's also, tennis is financially extremely taxing on people. I don't think people know that tennis players are not paid until they actually turn professional. And to turn professional, you already need to put in 10 years of work and 10 years of travel with, you know, and with the kind of, if you have a system, you've got trainers, you've got coaches, you know, we don't have that. We don't have that here. You have to, it's all trial and error. And I did the same thing. It was all trial and error. And, you know, I lucked out, I guess, and it was destiny of where I made it. But at the end of the day, you know, that's going to be very rare, and it's going to be very spaced out if that's what happens. So I think the academy is great, but one academy or one person cannot change. We do whatever we can as individuals. Mahesh has his academy, Rohan has started his academy, I have mine. But as individuals, there's only so much we can do, right? Like, we're a population of 1.2 billion people. So we need a bigger system in place for it to happen.
Right, and my last question to you is simply this: when you look forward now to the rest of your year, whether 2019 or the year after that, 2020, you did talk about the Olympics. What are you looking forward to? What can your fans, hope for or expect?
Well, I understand that. Well, first of all, I think I want to get back to the level that I was playing at, which is #1 in the world. But having said that, I do understand that maybe that's not going to be possible, or there is a chance that that may not happen. But I would like to play at the highest level again. I would like to be as good as I can be. I think that it's very important as women to set an example, especially if you are a public figure, that for me it's very close to my heart, that being pregnant or having a baby should not stop you from your own dreams, no matter what they are. And, they should actually inspire you, because it's not the end of a life, it's the beginning of your life. And I think women treat pregnancy and the birth of a kid like, oh my God, the life is, my life has ended and I can't do anything else. I don't think it should be like that. So I would love to, it would be amazing if I can come back. But even if I don't, if I don't come back to that level, I will be proud of myself for trying, because I think it's worth trying.
And Sania, do you derive a lot of confidence from Serena Williams and the comeback that she made after she had the baby? She was playing into the 3rd month of her pregnancy, but she came back as well. After she had the baby, proving that women tennis players are rock stars.
Sorry, I completely lost you there.
Serena Williams has come back after she had the baby, sort of, proof of
Yes.
the ability that you can come back and possibly be at the same level, maybe even better.
Yeah, I mean, there is a possibility, but I'm always a bit of a realist, I think. So I always, think of the worst case scenario as well. So there is a possibility of not as well. But having said that, Serena Williams is a superhuman. So everybody is not Serena Williams. She is an incredible athlete. She's an incredible tennis player, and she's the greatest that we've ever seen. So for me, I think it's unfair to compare anyone to Serena Williams, even if it's myself. And but yeah, if it does happen that way, I'll take it and I'll grab it with both hands.
All right, Sania, many thanks for spending time with us here on Mirror Now. It has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, and I wish you very, very good luck for your comeback and for every tournament that you play. And thank you for making India so proud for so many years. Sania Mirza there, wonderful pride of India tennis player.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Faye.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.